Hello listeners and welcome to Boomerang. This is Team 4 bringing you the news from the West Lothian Courier, with permission, published on Thursday 27th of March 2025. And our readers today are Joan, Alison, Kate and Joyce. Margaret will join us later to take care of the distribution of the wallets, and Harry is our recorder and copier as usual. Jackie cannot be with us this morning, so Joan has very kindly agreed to take her place. Many thanks to her. Our broadcast, as usual, will be in 4 parts. Part 1 will be general news. Part 2 will include family announcements. Part 3 will have more general news items and the quiz. And in Part 4, we will include news about local sport, as well as the answers to the quiz. If there is time, we will include 1 or 2 items from the West Lothian Council Bulletin. And we now have permission to record articles from the Connect magazine, so we'll try to squeeze in a piece from that publication too. As if that wasn't enough, at the end of the news part of our broadcast, there will be a recording of our recent annual general meeting, so please stay tuned for that. Can I remind you that when you have finished with the recording, please put the memory stick back into the blue wallet, turn over the address label and post it back to us here in Whitburn from a postbox and not the post office. Now, let's get started with the lead story this week and Kate.
Council faces £85 million bill to combat R.A.C by Stuart Somerville. West Lothian Council will have to foot a final bill in excess of £85 million to cover crumbling concrete issues in schools and housing. Holyrood has yet to contribute despite a plea 2 years ago for £15 million financial help in the rebuilding of St Kentigern's. It is understood negotiations between the Council and the Scottish Government about support for R.A.C costs is ongoing. Reinforced, autoclaved, aerated concrete, R.A.C, was a building material widely used in the 1960s. It has been discovered that the concrete is porous when it absorbs water and can begin to crumble, threatening the stability of the structure. As councillors discuss how much the council had spent so far on R.A.C issues, it prompted a veteran Labour councillor to ask recently, how many potholes could we have repaired with that amount? The Scottish Government maintained that it has been in regular contact with the Council over R.A.C issues, but stresses that the local authorities own and operate school buildings, unlike in other parts of the UK, and as such, they have a statutory duty to manage and maintain their schools' estates. Linlithgow councillor Tom Conn told councillors debating capital budget plans for this year that the council was trying to carry out a capital investment programme with one hand tied behind its back because it had to pay for R.A.C remediations without government help. The bulk of the spending on renewing the school's estates has gone on the rebuild of St Kentigern's in Blackburn, 2/3 of which had to be demolished after R.A.C was found 3 years ago. A spokesperson for the council told us the cost of mitigating the impact of R.A.C across West Lothian's council schools, community buildings and council homes between 2019 and 2020 and 2026 and 2027 is estimated at over £85 million. This total includes the cost of the new £24 million Craigshill Primary School, which is being half-funded by £12 million from the Learning Estate Investment Programme, LEIP, a joint scheme between Scottish and local governments. The largest single R.A.C-related project in West Lothian is the ongoing £35 million scheme to rebuild more than half of St Kentigern's Academy in Blackburn, with discussions ongoing with the Scottish Government regarding additional funding support for this work. At first revealed by the local Democracy Reporting Service in 2023, and the council has already allocated 20.2 million of its own money to the project and is seeking additional support from the Scottish Government to bridge the remaining gap. In total, the project is expected to cost £35 million. Andrew Maguire, the Executive Councillor for Education and an independent, said he would echo Councillor Con's commitments, adding, "The Council has done better than any other council in Scotland at tackling R.A.C head-on, and we should be commended for that. My plea would be that my SNP colleagues speak to their colleagues in the Scottish Parliament and ask that we get some additional funding to help us get to the end of R.A.C situation once and for all." Referring to the rebuild at St Kent's in an update to councillors in June of last year, financial officers said, "It should be noted that the current estimate cost of £35 million as an overall development cost is extremely challenging, and officers are continuing to work very hard with the project team appointed through the Hub South East and the Tier 1 contractor to maintain that position." The Roman Catholic High School is the largest in West Lothian, with a roll in excess of 13,000 pupils travelling from across the county each day. It was built in 1974 and refurbished in 1995-96. An extensive refurbishment of the school was completed in September 2009. St Kent's counts chart topper Lewis Capaldi and Britain's Got Talent star Susan Boyle among its illustrious former pupils. The council has carried out works on several primary schools, including Knightsbridge Primary School, Bulbardy Primary School and Windy Now Primary School. Another, Riverside Primary, was closed and the children decanted. This school has been demolished to make way for a new Craigshill Primary. Contracts have now been issued to carry out R.A.C remediation in council-owned homes across West Lothian. A spokesperson for the Scottish Government said, "We have been in regular contact with each local authority where R.A.C has been identified in schools." The Education Secretary recently met with West Lothian Council and visited St Kentigern's Academy and was reassured on progress made by the Council in dealing with the R.A.C identified in the school. National guidance has been available from the Institute of Structural Engineers to local authorities since March 2022. That guidance remains good practice for councils to adhere to and uses a risk-based approach to managing R.A.C.
Caring Noah doing his bit to help the homeless. An article by Michael Pringle. A conscientious 8-year-old schoolboy from West Lothian has been raising money to help people who are homeless. Noah Ferguson, a P4 pupil at St Joseph Primary in Whitburn, was moved into action after passing a homeless man in Blackpool while on holiday with his family almost 4 years ago. His proud mum Claire explained, "He was on his scooter and saw this homeless man on the street. Noah started asking questions, the why, the what, where, when kind of thing. He kept looking back, and the whole way along the promenade he wasn't happy that we hadn't done something to help. We ended up having to go all the way back, and my husband gave Noah a £5 to give him. So he gave him the money, and the man was lovely. He was very appreciative." And that was it. It became like an obsession of his. For months, Noah was saying, "I wonder how that homeless man is," and asking about the weather as he was worried about him. For 4 years now, he's just wanted to give everything he has to homeless people. Hand on heart, he talks about it every single night, and he wants to give homeless people money every time we see any. But it was getting to the point where that just wasn't enough for him. First of all, he said he wanted to become rich so that he could build loads of hotels so that homeless people could live in them. In his head, it's all very black and white. I just thought we could do something positive and suggested a sponsor event. He came up with the idea of doing 1,000 laps on his scooter of what we call the racetrack. It's just like an oval track in Heartlands. I suggested he rein it in a bit and go for 100 instead. It is a challenge and something that's not super easy for him. Claire helped boost her caring son's bid by launching an online fundraiser for him, which has already raised £635. He will be handing the total amount he raises over to the Social Bite charity. Claire added, "It went very well so far. The day after I put up the GoFundMe page, I was driving him to school and he told me we need to be planting more trees. He just wants to fix everything and save the world. I think he would actually give up our house to help people." Noah's fundraiser can be found at www.gofundme.com/f/help-Noah-end-homelessness. And there's a lovely photo of Noah standing outside his front door, which has a garland of flowers on it. He's got a very smiley face, he's wearing glasses and his a polo top collar and buttons.
Brightening Up Buildings in Support of National Endometriosis Month by Michael Pringle. The Civic Centre in Livingston was one of a number of buildings across the country to light up yellow in support of women with a painful and incurable condition. The council headquarters lit up during National Endometriosis Awareness Month in March. Others lit up in Lothian included Edinburgh Castle and Camera Obscura. Endo Warriors West Lothian is a local independent support group that was set up to raise awareness of the condition and now has over 1,100 members, having started with only a handful in 2017. The first independent support and action group in Scotland, it was founded by Livingston women Candice Mackenzie and Claire Beattie to support people living in the area with endometriosis. It operates with the help of a small admin team of 10, which includes group leaders Kirsty Clark and Dion McFarlane. A painful condition, endometriosis affects around 10% of women. It takes an average of 8 years for a woman to be diagnosed, despite it being the second most common gynecological condition in the UK. Endometriosis is a chronic inflammatory condition where cells similar to those in the lining of the womb grow in other parts of the body, including the ovaries, bowels, and, in rare cases, the brain. It can cause incredible pain, and early diagnosis is key to management. Living with the condition can hugely impact on women's home and work life. Endo Warriors West Lothian run monthly support meetings to help women who are struggling on a day-to-day basis with the impact of the condition. Candice said, "Our annual Light Up Yellow campaign is a call to action and highlights the importance of endometriosis awareness, but also brings communities together in support of those who need it most." We were established in 2017 and started the Light Up Yellow campaign in 2018, and it's grown bigger each year. When women feel they may have been let down with long waiting lists or misunderstood by doctors, we are here to understand and help. We're a grassroots independent organisation, and we work directly with MPs and lobby at Parliament and things like that. And we provide support services via a private hub on Facebook. It doesn't really matter where you live. If you need support, we are available for you. Earlier this month, the Courier reported on the launch of a women's support group set up in memory of Bathgate mum Nicola Thynne, a former nurse with endometriosis who took her own life, unable to cope any longer with the extreme pain. We have over 1,000 women in our group, but there are thousands of others who are suffering and don't know that we are here for them, said Candice. It takes 8 to 10 years for a diagnosis. There are so many who are undiagnosed and falling through the net, and the government aren't doing enough to improve waiting times. I've met some women in the group who have been waiting 2.5 years for surgery, and every month their condition gets worse. It doesn't get better. We are being neglected and failed. All we can do is light up buildings to try and spread awareness of how nasty and cruel this life-changing condition is. Women are just expected to continue and get on with it. It's so sad. We're dealing with mental health issues all the time in the group because women reach a plateau where they genuinely can't take any more. Endo Warriors West Lothian has been nominated for a Pride of Scotland award this year. the group fundraise for the Endo 1000 project, of which Candice is an ambassador. So far, they've raised over £50,000 for research, which supported funding for a PhD student. West Lothian Council's Education Services has also worked with West Lothian Endo Warriors to raise awareness of the symptoms of endometriosis in schools. We take holidays from work to provide educational talks within West Lothian schools and are so incredibly grateful for the support of West Lothian Council and head teachers, Candice added. Monthly support meetings are held on the first Tuesday of each month at New Yearfield Farm Community Centre, Hawkbrae, Livingston. There is no charge for attending. They also have a private Facebook group for those assigned female at birth. And there are some photographs alongside this story, and two of them are, I think, from the Kilt Walk, where a group of women who are dressed in yellow T-shirts with the name of their charity on it and their smart black and yellow kilted skirts are all waving at the camera, and there's one man in a kilt and one dog, and they all look very cheerful. And there's two pictures of the buildings that have been lit up with yellow lighting to bring awareness to this condition.
Bid for bulky waste reviews fails. A bid to have West Lothian's bulky waste service reviewed has failed, despite growing concerns that the cost is stopping people using the service. Livingston SNP councillor Maria Macaulay had argued that all residents should have access to bulky waste removal amid growing reports of waste piling up in gardens and communal bin areas across the county. The councillor claimed growing numbers could not afford the bulky uplift service despite the fact that charges were frozen in this year's budget and remains below the national average. The fact you need a vehicle to access the recycling centres is also excluding growing numbers of people from using the service, she said. But at a meeting of West Lothian Council, her motion calling for a review of the service was defeated by the Provost Cathy Muldoon's casting vote. A Labour amendment calling on the Scottish Government to fully fund bulky waste services, which at the moment run at a loss, was instead backed by councillors. Councillor Macaulay told the meeting, residents across West Lothian are increasingly concerned about bulky waste piling up in gardens and communal areas due to limited and costly disposal options. This leads to environmental risks, attracts vermin and negatively affects communities. This motion is simply asking for a review of the services. Tom Conn, the Labour Executive Councillor for the Environment who raised the Labour amendment, pointed out that it will cost the Council $240,000 to operate a bulky uplift service. By comparison, income from bulky uplifts is approximately $135,000 a year. He added, a charge of £38.59 represents a significant subsidy applied to all service users, which covers around only 56% of the cost of providing the service.
Housing designs approved. Councillors have agreed design details for a new housing estate on the edge of East Calder, almost 4 years after they rejected the plans. West Lothian Council's Development Management Committee greenlit proposals by Miller Homes for 90 new homes on open fields at Hog Hill Farm. The Scottish Government's Division of Environmental and Planning Appeals, DPEA, reporter backed plans and approved the development of the open fields in early January 2023. The almost 20-acre site sits on open farmland north of Hog Hill Farm, bordering on Oakbank Road, East Calder. The initial application received more than 100 objections. These mainly concentrated on the pressure on existing infrastructure, including East Calder's Health Centre. Council Officer Andrew Cotton told councillors that issues surrounding the medical centre, which is in a poor state of repair and now has a patient list of more than double what it was built for, could not be addressed as part of the consideration of the planning application. Miller Homes produced amended plans seeking approval in detail for 86 houses and 4 flats on the site. In a report to committee, planning officers said, planning permission in principle for the development of this site was refused by the West Lothian Planning Committee on December 16, 2021. This decision was appealed to the Planning and Environmental Appeals Division and subsequently approved on January 5, 2023. The principle of developing the land for residential purposes has therefore been established, and it is the layout, design and compliance with technical requirements for the site which is now under consideration. Whilst the concerns of the objectors are noted and understood, the principle of the development cannot be reconsidered. It's the design, layout and matters specific to the development which must now be considered.
The headline is Mum Told Daughter to Self-Harm, and it's by Lee Dalgetty and Billy Gaddy. A Bathgate teenager has bravely spoken out after her heartless, estranged mum urged her to self-harm during a campaign of verbal abuse and threats. Devon McKinley says the campaign of hate began last January after she moved out of Wendy Miller's Whitburn house. On March the 7th, Miller was handed 125 hours of community service and 2 years of supervision at Livingston Sheriff Court after admitting to having caused Devon fear or alarm and utter offensive remarks, threats of violence and encouraging her to self-harm. The 18-year-old, who now stays in Bathgate, says she was repeatedly contacted by her mum, who hurled offensive remarks at her, as well as threats of violence and urging her to end her life. In a disturbing clip, Wendy can be heard saying, "I wish I had aborted you." After leaving her mum's home, Devon moved in with her ex-boyfriend and now lives with her dad Tony and her stepmum Heather. Sitting down with the Courier's colleagues at Edinburgh Live, Devon spoke of her ordeal, saying she would be nice 1 minute, then just turn. "I remember my ex said I should go and live with him, so I took that chance. I didn't think I'd go ahead with it, but I just went for it. I packed a wee bag and just left. There's been loads of threats. I have voice notes of her telling me that next time she sees me, she's going to wring my neck, that she wished she had aborted me, that she's going to attack me. I can't get a bus by myself. I always feel like she's going to see me and something bad is going to happen. I'm scared to leave the house. I only do it with Dad or Heather. I know that they'll protect me and I feel safe with them. She's delusional. She thinks she's the best mum ever. She thinks I still love her and care about her, and I don't." Stepmum Heather said it was a no-brainer when it came to taking Devon in. She added, "Wendy tried to break her down as a person. You take to heart what your parents say, and she's just tried to get her to crack. With Devon, it was instant. As soon as we realised what was happening, we've just been there by her side. The moment Devon got back in touch with us, we've not left her. She's here and she's safe. It's been horrific. Devon received messages from her and felt physically sick. It's traumatic. I want Wendy to let Devon build her life back up. Be a mum, be caring and loving and mindful. She should know that as a mother, that all you're meant to do is protect your child." In voice notes sent to Devon, Wendy can be heard saying, "You got a clean boot to the face with my Doc Martens on. You begged me to stop, remember? When I see you in person, I will attack that face of yours. I'll make you no be able to pull my name up again, that's for sure. I won't stop this time. I don't care about you. I hate you. I wish I aborted you. My life would be so much better, man, honestly. I wish I'd got rid of you. You're nothing but a scumbag. You're an embarrassment."
We have now come to the end of Part 1, and in Part 2, family announcements will be included. Welcome to Part 2, and we will begin with the family announcements. This week there is only one, and it is a death. Scott, Robert, known as Scotty. Peacefully at Tippet Hill House Hospital on Wednesday the 12th of March 2025, Scotty, aged 73 years, loving brother, dad and granda. sadly missed and loved by all. Funeral service will be held at Thomas Brown Funeral Home on Friday the 4th of April at 1:15 p.m. and thereafter to Loning Hill Cemetery. Now we will continue with items from the Courier and Kate.
Former SNP quits Labour by Chris McCall. A former Scottish Labour MSP who represented Lothian has quit the party in protest after the UK government pledged to slash £5 billion from the country's welfare bill. Neil Findlay said he could no longer remain a member of a party that lied to the British people at the last election and with regularity betrays the people who voted for them. In a scathing open letter to Keir Starmer, the former Lothian MSP warned, "MPs who continue to support your agenda are turkeys voting for Christmas." He criticised the decision to mean test the winter fuel payment and the failure to compensate WASPy women hit by state pension changes. But the welfare reforms announced last week by Liz Kendall, the UK Work and Pension Secretary, proved to be the final straw. In his letter, he said, "Of course people who can work should work. No one is questioning that. But for my relatives, friends and neighbours and your constituents who have the misfortune to suffer from chronic, debilitating, long-term conditions that leaves them bedbound, unable to leave their home or crushed by mental illness, these cuts will not motivate them to go back to work. It will instead scare and humiliate them and strip them of their dignity and self-respect. And for some, it will send them to an early grave. The blame for this will lie squarely with you and your sycophants within your party who passively support these dreadful cuts." Findlay was a prominent left-wing voice in the Scottish Parliament before he chose to stand down ahead of the 2021 Holyrood elections. He was a super firm supporter of Richard Leonard during his time as Scottish Labour leader. Findlay has become a vocal critic of both Stammer and Anwar Sarwar, who succeeded Leonard as party leader in Scotland in the years since he quit Holyrood. But he retained his Labour membership for 35 years before deciding it was time to quit. In his letter, he said, "Over 3.5 decades, I have volunteered for many different roles in the party, posted more leaflets than I care to remember, knocked on tens of thousands of doors, raised money for elections, and served 9 years as a councillor and 10 as an MSP. But today, I can no longer remain a member of the party that lied to the British people at the last election and with regularity betrays the people who voted it." Mr. Findlay said, "At a time when more people are going hungry, fuel bills are soaring, and the cost of living is leaving working-class families unable to afford the basics, a Labour government should be going after the billions lost in corporate tax fraud and avoidance. It should be making those companies that pollute our environment pay, and it should be introducing a wealth tax on the super rich. But instead, you choose to punish and stigmatise the weak, poor and the vulnerable." The letter concluded, "The reality is that Labour will be lucky to come third at the forthcoming Scottish elections, will lose power in Wales for the first time and faces being rooted out at the next UK election. And this will be down to your disastrous tenure as a leader. All of which threaten the very existence of the party. MPs who continue to support your agenda are turkeys voting for Christmas. In solidarity with the individuals and families who will be affected by these vindictive and brutal policies, and for my own sanity, dignity and self-respect, I can no longer remain a member of the Labour Party." A Scottish Labour spokesman said, "Mr. Findlay is a private citizen. He is entitled to his views."
Articles headed "Mum Living in Terror After Cruel Machete Brute Dodges Prison." Article by Ruth Sutter. A mum has been forced to flee her home after her brute ex-boyfriend dodged jail for threatening to kill her with a machete. Cara Graham, 28, has been living in fear since Ivo Wojciech Okapek, also 28, walked free after years of subjecting her to terrifying physical and emotional abuse. The thug from Livingston was convicted of a string of horrific domestic abuse charges at the town's High Court last month. He admitted holding a knife to Cara, threatening to kill her in her sleep, swiping her legs from under her, causing her to fall to the floor, seizing her by the neck and assaulting her to injury on a number of occasions. He also threatened to burn her home to the ground, and during one rampage he used a machete to chop up her furniture. Okapiek was handed a 5-year non-harassment order and ordered to do 180 hours of unpaid work, but just days after his conviction he turned up at their son's school in East Calder. Young mum of one, Cara, is now so petrified for her safety that she has gone into hiding to protect herself and her little boy. She told the Courier's sister paper, The Daily Record, "I am living in fear. He has avoided jail, and despite his non-harassment order, the first thing he did was go to my son's school. I've now fled my home with my son, and I feel like we had no other option." Cara and her child are now residing at an unknown location hundreds of miles away from her family. She has accused the courts and justice system of empowering abusers after Okapiek escaped a prison sentence. She said, "The abuse he inflicted on me was evil and sinister. It's infuriating he can walk free and get on with his life despite everything he has put me through. The courts don't seem to understand that they are empowering criminals like him if they don't get custodial sentences. They're showing people they can carry out horrific levels of abuse on their partners and go home. I was told that because he pled guilty, he showed remorse. Then he was given a lenient sentence after that." Cara shared a number of photos showing her body covered in bruises after numerous beatings at the hands of Okapiek. Other pictures show a mirror he smashed in a fit of rage and an abusive text where he repeatedly called her a F.B. and threatened to slash her tyres. She now hopes that sharing her ordeal will serve as a warning to other women. Cara continued, "He was charming in the beginning and gave me a false sense of security by love-bombing me so that there's no doubt he is a danger to other women. But the reality was that as soon as I fell for him, he picked away at me and chipped at my confidence. I became a shell of myself." Livingston MP Gregor Poynton is supporting Cara and aims to secure meeting with the Justice Secretary. The Labour representative said, "I am deeply concerned about the distress and hardship Cara has endured, and I commend her bravery in speaking out. No one should have to live in fear, and it is vital that victims of domestic abuse receive the support and protection they need. It's clear that much more needs to be done to ensure victims like Cara are fully supported. I have offered to raise this matter with the Scottish Government's Justice Secretary. It's essential that we continue to push for better protections and resources for those affected by domestic violence." A spokesperson for the Judicial Office for Scotland said, "When deciding a sentence, judges carefully consider the facts that are presented to the court, both by the defence and by the prosecution, and take into account the unique factors of each case before determining what sentence is most appropriate to help reduce reoffending and protect the public." A spokesperson for the Scottish Government added, "Domestic abuse is abhorrent and our sympathies are with Cara Graham for the distress and anguish she has endured. Sentencing in any given case is always a matter for the independent courts, and the Scottish Government cannot comment on sentencing decisions. Help is available from the free phone National Domestic Abuse Helpline run by Refuge on 0808 2000 247 for free at any time, day or night. Women can email helpline at womensaid.org.uk and mensadviceline.org.uk. And there's a couple of photos showing the bruises that Cara suffered from this brute.
Lion roars to recovery after eye is removed, by Michael Pringle. A lion rescued almost a decade ago from a travelling circus has made a remarkable recovery after having one of his eyes removed. Skinny who lives at Five Sisters Zoo in West Calder, was one of 4 lions offered a safe haven back in October 2015. The zoo welcomed Skinny along with 3 other lions, Boss, Twin 1 and Twin 2, to its sanctuary for the first time over 9 years ago. They were rescued from a life of suffering in a travelling circus in Belgium. And after enduring years of hardship, they finally found safety in a specially designed habitat where they could live free from their past trauma. Skinny is the last surviving member of the group following the passing of Boss and his 2 brothers. Their journey remains a proud chapter in the zoo's history, reflecting its ongoing mission to provide sanctuary to animals in need. Following the loss of his long-time companions, Skinny has remained independent and continues to adapt well to life on his own. Unfortunately, Skinny recently developed a serious eye condition that required urgent veterinary attention. Despite the best efforts of the zoo's expert wildlife vet, Dr. Romain Pizzi, the eye could not be saved, and surgery was performed to remove it. While Skinny now has only one eye, the good news is that he's made an excellent recovery and is already back to his usual self. The dedicated keepers at Five Sisters continue to monitor him closely, ensuring he receives the best possible care. Recently, he gained 2 new neighbours, lionesses Luna and Platza, who were rescued from Ukraine in 2022 and arrived at the zoo in West Lothian late last year. Skinny has been curious about his new feline neighbours, but seems content observing from a distance. While there are no plans to introduce them, having other lions nearby offers him valuable enrichment, allowing him to engage with new sights, sounds and scents in a stress-free environment. Five Sisters Zoo was founded by landscape gardener Brian Curran and his wife Shirley, who began by rehoming unwanted pets. Over time, their passion for animals transformed their small collection into a petting zoo, and now a well-established visitor attraction that was recently voted Scotland's best family day out. Officially established as a zoo in 2005, it initially housed rabbits, guinea pigs, goats and pigs. Almost 20 years later, it's home to over 160 species of mammals, birds and reptiles from around the world, including bears, lions and snow leopards rescued from terrible circumstances. For more information, visit fivesisterszoo.co.uk, and there's a photograph of the beautiful lion Skinny. The caption is, "Skinny is already back to his usual self and receives the best care. And while he does indeed only have one eye, he looks very calm and contented with life."
Teacher Vicky will take on Edinburgh Half Marathon to support Women's Aid by Michael Pringle. A West Lothian school teacher is taking on Edinburgh's Half Marathon to raise money and pay it forward for women who suffered domestic abuse. Vicky Roberts, who is a no-way runner, wants to give something back for the help that she was provided by Women's Aid. The 43-year-old principal teacher is a survivor of domestic abuse and knows only too well what a vital role the organisation plays in supporting women and children. The Edinburgh Half Marathon takes place on May the 25th, but up till last weekend, the only race Vicky has taken part in was Cancer Research Race for Life 2 decades ago. "I did the Race for Life 20 years ago, but it was a one-off and I've never been a runner," said Vicky. "This running malarkey is very new to me. But was about this time last year, I saw a post on Facebook about someone who was raising money for Scottish Women's Aid, and then there were another couple of posts about Edinburgh Marathon and also the Half Marathon. So I thought I'd formulate a plan. It was off the cuff, and I thought I could raise money for them and challenge myself and prove to myself I could do it. I completed the Supernova Kelpie Run, the 5K, at the weekend on Saturday night. It was absolutely brilliant. It was all lights and glow sticks, and there was music. The atmosphere was amazing. It's motivated me, and I really feel positive about the half marathon. It spurred me on, and I think I've got this. Mum of 3, Vicky, had to flee along with her kids from an abusive relationship and was given a safe haven by the charity. I am 6 years safe now, Vicky revealed. I escaped from a very abusive, controlling, horrible situation that myself and my kids were in. West Lothian's Women's Aid and DASAT, the West Lothian Domestic Council and Sexual Abuse Team, were vital to that. They saved our lives. We left with black bags and they found us a safe house. I got my life back, and myself and my family are thriving now. Without them, I don't know where we'd be. I just wanted to give something back and pay it forward for other women and kids who may be in a similar situation. They helped me at my lowest point to regain and maintain my own freedom and support me to rebuild my confidence and my self-worth and independence. The Edinburgh Marathon and Half Marathon will take place on Sunday, May the 25th. Vicky's fundraising page can be found via www.justgiving.com/fundraising/Vicky-Roberts 2025. More information on West Lothian Women's Aid is available at www.wlwa.org.uk, or you can call 01506 413 721 Monday to Friday between 9 and 4. And this actually has got a picture of Vicky in her running gear, and she's obviously holding up her medal that she received and her ticket telling her runner's number. And she said, "I ran from abuse, now I'm running to help others do the same."
Don't give crooks chance despite the lighter nights. This is an article by Chief Inspector Elaine MacArthur Kerr. With the clocks having gone forward and the weather currently feeling milder, we are now very much in springtime and the evenings are once again lighter until later. Opportunities for criminals to operate within darkness are reducing, but that doesn't mean communities can become complacent, as lighter, warmer days bring their own challenges that we need to be alive to. For instance, if you have windows open to cool your home down, then please remember to close and lock them again when you leave your property or head to bed for the evening. The same goes for curtains and blinds. While we should absolutely take advantage of natural sunlight pouring into our homes while it lasts, please close these too when you're not around, so you're not giving would-be thieves a view to the valuables and personal possessions within your home. Sticking with the subject of nicer weather, this time of year means more of us, including young people, are likely to spend more time outside, and as such we want to make sure that issues associated with antisocial behaviour do not begin to rise throughout West Lothian. With this in mind, our partners in the West Lothian Community Foundation, with support from Street Soccer Scotland, are hosting Friday night football for teenagers. The first session started on Friday, March the 7th at the Craigswood five-a-side pitches from 7 p.m. to 9 p.m. and will continue to take place on a weekly basis over the coming months. This is an excellent opportunity for local teenagers aged 13 to 16, and best of all, it is completely free. Participants are welcome to attend on their own or with friends. Full details can be found on our West Lothian Police Facebook page. In addition to tackling antisocial behaviour with young people in our region, we are also committed to raising awareness among them in relation to domestic abuse, harassment and violence towards women, sex exploitation and the issue of consent. Community officers and detectives from the Domestic Abuse and Rape Investigation Unit have been working alongside partners from Women's Aid and the Domestic and Sexual Assault Team to provide a range of 1-hour inputs to high school students across West Lothian over the last few months, with the aim being to help young people identify behaviours or indicators that domestic and sexual offences are occurring, either within their own relationships or of those that members of their family or friends are in. They also learn about how they can report any concerns they may have and the support networks available to survivors of domestic and sexual crime. These seminars also provide us with an opportunity to intervene early with any individuals who may have been unaware that their own actions were, in fact, causing harm to others, so they can reflect on their decisions and then make more positive choices. Over 1,300 students have so far been engaged with, and we aim to continue with these inputs as part of our ongoing commitment to reduce domestic and sexual crime and provide survivors with all the support and assistance they may require. I'll finish this column by once again banging the drum for enhanced dialogue between our communities and their local policing teams. We want to make sure that we are responding to the issues that most significantly impact upon your area and dedicate resources accordingly, but we can only do so if we know what these issues are. Please continue to engage with us through local officer surgeries, community council meetings, and by participating in our Your Police survey, which is available on our website. And there's a photograph of the back of a police person with the word police on the back of their high-vis jacket. And insert is a photograph of Chief Inspector Elaine MacArthur Kerr.
Groups can take over cafe. Community groups and local businesses are being urged to consider taking over a closure-threatened cafe in an assisted living complex. The public cafe, located within Rosemount Gardens in Bathgate, could close later this year, following a proposal by the West Lothian Integrated Joint Board, the IJB, which it says will help protect statutory core services. The cafe is open 6 days a week, but is currently operating at a loss of £100,000 per year. The closure proposal is one of a number of budget reductions proposed by the IJB. West Lothian Council has stated that if anyone would be willing to take on the running of the cafe, then the IJB would be happy to speak to them, and has asked the IJB for some details around the proposal for closure. The Council have also affirmed that the closure proposal is not a decision that has been made by the local authority, but by the IJB. An IJB spokesperson said, "Public services the length and breadth of the country are under severe strain, and we face very difficult decisions across service areas. We must look at ways to run services more efficiently, to ensure the funding we do have is focused on statutory services and core services. We cannot afford to maintain all services as they are." The seating space at Rosemount Court would not close under this proposal and would still be available for community and social use. We're also exploring whether a local business or voluntary sector provider would want to take up the opportunity to run the cafe. We need to reduce spending across the service and balance our budget. These aren't easy choices, but the financial situation is such that a reduction can either come out of the cafe or from other areas of the social care. Cafes are not statutory services, but other core services are.
We have now come to the end of part 2, and in part 3 we will begin with the quiz. Welcome to part 3, and we will start with this week's quiz and Kate.
I wish you good luck in this quiz. There's 6 questions with options for answers. And the first question is, what was the 2-word name of Jessica Fletcher's coastal hometown in the mystery series Murder, She Wrote? Was it A, Cabot Cove, B, Hudson Harbour, or C, Summer Bay? Question 2. A 2003 novel by Lionel Shriver and a 2011 film adaptation are entitled We Need to Talk About what? A, It, B, Us, or C, Kevin? Question 3. Who was Prime Minister from 1945 to 1951? A, Clement Attlee, B, Anthony Eden, or C, Winston Churchill? Question 4. In which city is the Bolshoi Ballet based? A. Moscow, B. Warsaw, or C. Bucharest? Question 5. In which swimming strokes do both arms leave the water at the same time while the legs perform a dolphin kick? A. Butterfly, B. Breaststroke, or C. Front crawl? And the last question, number 6. Which 1968 musical film starring Barbara Streisand featured the song Don't Rain on My Parade? Was it A. A Star is Born, B. Yentl, or C. Funny Girl? Good luck with the quiz.
West Lothian Leisure will have to fund the increases in national insurance contributions for its staff when they come into force in April, it has been confirmed. Kenneth Ribbons, the acting head of finance, said the arm's-length operation of the county's leisure and swimming facilities would be expected to cover the increased staff costs from its own budget. The revelation came as Mr Ribbons confirmed the annual funding by the council to the Leisure Trust of £1.49 million. The opposition SNP's deputy group leader, Pauline Stafford, voiced concern that the trust would be saddled with the extra costs, adding the services are provided on behalf of the council and mean a lot to people. National insurance contributions for employers will increase from 13.8% to 15% in April, a 1.2 percentage point increase.
Shopping in Some Style by Ross Thompson. Spring was definitely in the air at the Centre Livingston when the venue's Style Squad team popped in to catch up with shoppers to find out about their reasons for visiting. Whether it was a spring wardrobe or a home refresh, the recurring theme amongst shoppers was counting down to slightly warmer climes when the clocks go forward on March the 30th and it's officially spring. As the squad meandered around the shopping centre, they caught up with lots of mums and daughters, spending quality time together ahead of Mother's Day this weekend, spring shopping and enjoying a bite to eat, and also a dad who was searching for new outfits for an upcoming conference with some valuable input by his daughter. What they didn't expect when the squad caught up with them was to be taken by surprise with the offer of giving them a £25 gift card towards their shopping. First on the radar was dance teacher Sarah Prentice from Uphall, who was enjoying a day out with her mum to buy new clothes and makeup for her exciting trip to Egypt. She said, "I really enjoy visiting the shopping centre, especially with my mum, as we get to spend some quality time together doing what we love, which is shopping in our favourite stores like M&S and Argento for jewellery and dining out too. We really like Las Iguanas. I'm really looking forward to heading off to pastures new soon and over the moon that Mum will be joining me for a holiday once I get settled in." Next up was tour guide Ian McGilvray from Glasgow, who was shopping for new outfits for a conference with the help of his daughter, Hayley Leckie. Ian has been a tour driver and guide for many years, taking people from all over the world around Scotland to get a warm and personal experience of what the country has to offer, which is a job he loves. He said, "I'm delighted I managed to get exactly what I was looking for in Suit Direct. Thankfully, my daughter helped me to pick out what I needed for the conference, and the helpful staff too. It was such a lovely surprise when I was approached at the till with the offer to put £25 towards my shopping. It was definitely my lucky day." Mum Zita Macmillan, a support worker from Bathgate, and her daughter Nicole, who volunteers at a local charity, were next up on the radar to chat to. Nicole said, "Most of the time we don't have a checklist of what we need to buy. We just like perusing the stores and seeing what we fancy, and then we like to head to Nando's, our go-to restaurant, afterwards to enjoy a bite to eat together. Thank you for the gift card, which we'll be using today towards lunch. It was such a lovely surprise." Livingston mum Audrey McQuaid was spending a day out shopping with her son Dale, who's studying business and accountancy at university, when the Style Squad stopped to catch up with them. After a spot of shopping, the plan was to head to Nando's to enjoy a bite to eat. Audrey said, "With the shopping centre on our doorstep, it's really handy for us to drop into when we fancy a bit of retail therapy, especially when there's so many great stores to choose from, and also to treat ourselves to eating out." Last up on our travels around the shopping centre was a great catch-up with twins Katie and Kelsey Singer from the Borders, who were being treated to a special day out after they both achieved straight A's in the Nat 5 prelims. After a shopping spree in Primark, their proud grandparents were planning to take them for a bite to eat to celebrate the outcome of all the hard work they put in to getting great marks at school. Patrick Robertsi, Centre Director at the Centre Livingston, said, "It's always lovely to hear about our shoppers' visits and the favourite stores and restaurants they like to pop into. It's especially nice to surprise them out of the blue with a £25 gift card towards their shopping at the tills, and also to stop them in the shopping centre and offer to pay for a well-deserved coffee and cake treat or lunch at one of our many eateries." And there's some lovely photographs of the happy shoppers here. There's a picture of the twins who did so well in their exams with their grandparents, and they're holding up their Primark bag. There's people who have been the tour director with his daughter who's got his suit direct. There's a lovely picture of the mum and son who've been out spending the day shopping. His bag is from Flannels. And the mum and daughter who've also been to Primark. That seems to be a popular store.
MP backs Employment Rights Bill by Ross Thompson. Livingston MP Gregor Poynton has hailed the UK Government's Employment Rights Bill as a landmark step forward for workers' rights in Scotland. Speaking in the House of Commons in a debate last night, Mr Poynton highlighted the significance of the reforms, which he said will bring tangible improvements to the lives of working people in his constituency and beyond. He added, "Just this weekend, at one of my regular coffee mornings, a constituent, Phil, urged me to do more to promote the benefit of this bill. That conversation reinforced how vital this legislation is to people in Livingston and across Scotland. The new legislation represents the most significant enhancement of employment protections in decades, tackling exploitative zero-hours contracts, enhancing statutory sick pay, and strengthening the powers of Fair Work Agency to hold bad employers to account. Over 1 million people on zero contract hours will now benefit from guaranteed hours policies, providing them with greater job security and financial stability." Mr Poynton, a member of the House of Commons Business and Trade Select Committee, noted that evidence presented to Parliament demonstrated the unfairness of current employment practices, such as shifts being cancelled at 24-hour notice with no compensation. This bill ensures that families who rely on zero-hour contracts can plan their finances with greater certainty, he added. The bill is not just pro-worker, it's pro-business too. By improving employment relationships, reducing industrial disputes and putting money back in people's pockets, it will help drive productivity and economic growth. This legislation signals a real shift in direction, ensuring that hard work is rewarded with fair pay, decent conditions and security at work. The Labour government may still be in its early days, however, we are already delivering for workers, businesses and communities across the whole of Scotland.
Savouring Last Supper from Chippy, article by Michael Pringle. A delighted pensioner savoured the final fish supper from a family-run chippy in East Calder just before the shutters were pulled down for the final time. Laura Smith and her partner David Munro decided they would pop into Aldo's on Main Street on the popular eatery's last night of opening. The takeaways owners, husband and wife team Aldo and Anna, decided to retire after 30 years of serving up fish suppers and all sorts of fried food to people in the village. But despite looking forward to tucking into a mouth-watering fish supper from Aldo's for the last time, Laura came up short as she kindly handed over the last one to her 78-year-old mum, Anne. Laura, 50, had been into the chippy earlier that week but couldn't resist one last chippy supper from Aldo's and decided to buy one for her mum Anne too. She said, "We'd bought one a few days before for the three of us. We thought we will do it a few days before because it would be heaving on the last night. But it's so good and we're going to miss it so much that we decided we'd just go on the last night as well." David asked for 3 fish suppers and they only had 1 fish left, so we gave it to Mum. They were really busy and didn't seem to have anyone else working with them for the last few months. They were always so busy. People had put up a sign saying happy retirement and everyone coming in was wishing them good luck. As soon as we realised they only had 1 fish left, I told them I'd give it to my mum, who would be delighted. I stay next door to her and we all stay in the main street. I went in and said to her that she'd never believe that she got the last fish supper from Aldo's. She was like, "You're joking." She was absolutely delighted and couldn't believe it. I managed to get a bit of her fish, but Mum wouldn't have parted with it if I hadn't asked. Anne, originally from Fort William, has lived in East Calder for 9 years and used the chippy frequently. The family admit they will miss the place. There's another chippy opened across from the village pub, Laura added. It opened just as Aldo's closed, but Aldo's was well renowned for having a good fish supper, so we were very lucky. Aldo and Anna shared a statement online through their son Roberto, which said, "After 30 years, we have at long last decided to hang up our aprons and retire from the chippy. We are deeply touched by the kind messages that we've received from everyone," they added. "We will never forget the friends and memories we've made here, and we will miss all the familiar faces. A huge thank you to our customers, staff and drivers past and present. We are incredibly grateful for the support you have shown us over the years. It has been a pleasure to serve the community. With thanks, Aldo and Anna." And there's a picture of Aldo and Anna standing outside the shop, both still wearing their aprons, and another photo of Anne Smith holding open her box of fish and chips.
Lottery funding boosts projects. Fiona Hislop MSP has welcomed the news that her constituency in West Lothian has received over £2.1 million in support from the National Lottery Community Fund during the last 5 years. The Linlithgow constituency MSP said, "Supporting local causes is so important, and I'm pleased to hear that the Linlithgow constituency has received £2,107,817 in grants from the National Lottery Community Fund. The fund supports community-led projects to create resilient communities that are more inclusive and environmentally sustainable. Some of the local organisations who have benefited from support from the fund include the Catalyst Kitchen at the Larder, the African Scottish Expo held in Bathgate, and the Bridge 1940 Union Canal Society. For more details on the fund and how to apply, visit tnlcommunityfund.org.uk/funding/programmes/National Lottery Awards for All Scotland.
Hall's future still in doubt. The future of a West Lothian Council-owned wedding venue remains in doubt after a delay to a report on plans. Linlithgow SNP councillor Pauline Orr said that the financial plight of the borough halls was a concern, as she and others await a report that had been expected in January. There's no word yet on when it will be. As highlighted in this year's budget, the venue losses are predicted to be £100,000 by the end of the month. Officials have already conceded that the losses are in fact unmet income targets. A blueprint for the future was expected early in the new year. As the budget debate on February 25th, Council officers reiterated that it would be published after consultation between the Education Department, which runs the venue, and other Council departments, including Finance. At a meeting of the full Council, Councillor Orr asked how big the rates increase had been for the building in the last year. Answering her question last week, Councillor Leader Lawrence Fitzpatrick said that the rates bill had risen by £5,000 from £67,596 to £72,111. Councillor Orr said, "With that confirmed as only around 5,000, it is now as important as ever to try and understand where the shortfalls really are, what actions are being taken to alleviate them, and what timescales are being considered." Linlithgow Borough Halls is a unique venue in the heart of the town and close to the palace and birthplace of Mary Queen of Scots. The financial position of the Borough Halls is concerning. It should be providing a significant income stream to West Lothian Council, and it is not. A council spokesperson added, "Officers are continuing their review, exploring potential operating models for the Borough Halls. Details of the review will be brought to committee in due course."
Slip roads to remain shut for next week. Motorway slip roads at Livingston are set to remain closed overnight until the beginning of April. Street lighting upgrade works on westbound slip roads at M8 Junction 3 Livingston will continue until April 4th. Transport Scotland's operating company, Bear Scotland, are carrying out the improvements. The M8 Junction 3 westbound on Slip Road and the dedicated off-slip from the M8 westbound onto the A899 Livingston Road will be closed between 8 p.m. and 6 p.m. on Monday to Friday nights during the works. A signed diversion for traffic wishing to join the M8 westbound at M8 Junction 3 will be in place via the A899 northbound to Dechmount roundabout, the A89 westbound to Boghall roundabout, and the A779 to join the M8 westbound at Junction 3A. The slip road from the M8 westbound to Livingston East roundabout will remain open, so no diversion is required.
The next story is taken from the Bulletin. Take part in Spring Clean 25. Schools, businesses and local volunteers are all being encouraged to help play their part in Spring Clean 2025. Spring Clean is Keep Scotland Beautiful's annual campaign, which encourages thousands of volunteers to spend time outdoors cleaning up the environment through sociable fun litter picking sessions. In 2024, the West Lothian area ranked third in the country for participation, with 285 events registered, with 2,323 volunteers taking part, including the involvement of 36 schools and 19 local businesses during the Spring Clean. Spring Clean 2025 takes place from the 21st of March to the 21st of April, and West Lothian Council's Cleaner Communities team is once again encouraging participation and can help organise registered group litter picks and provide litter picking equipment to support local volunteers, schools and businesses. For young people across the country who want to get involved, the Litter League will be returning this year, beginning the week before on the 17th of March and running until the 21st of April. Schools, nurseries and other youth groups across the country are encouraged to take part and compete for Spring Clean glory. Last year, businesses big and small across the country took part in Spring Clean and are once again being encouraged to get involved and organise litter picks and support their communities and employees who are passionate about keeping Scotland beautiful. If you have a local event you're looking to get registered as part of Spring Clean, or if you're looking for some support to set an event up, please get in touch with the Cleaner Communities team via email communitycleanup@westlothian.gov.uk. Falla Hill Primary School are just one of the schools planning to take part in this year, with pupils playing an active role in keeping their community clean all year round. Executive Councillor for the Environment, Tom Conn, joined staff from the Cleaner Communities team on a visit to the school. Councillor Conn said, "We all want West Lothian's streets, towns and villages to be clean and tidy, and we all need to work together to achieve this. Our schools play a massive role in teaching our young people the importance of looking after our environment. It was a pleasure to meet pupils at Fallahill and Falthouse, and I look forward to seeing more schools taking part in the Spring Clean again this year. We are rather lucky in West Lothian to have a large network of volunteers committed to tackling littering, and groups such as West Lothian Litter Pickers must be thanked for their ongoing work across the area. If you're interested in playing a part in the local Spring Clean effort, then please get in touch with the Council's Cleaner Communities team to help us register as many litter picks as possible. This data will prove very useful to help inform future projects to reduce litter and protect our natural environment." And there's a lovely picture of children from Fallahill Primary along with Councillor Conn, and the children have got clear plastic bags that are being held open, so they've got a long-handled litter picker and they can go out and pick up the litter and pop it into their bags.
And that brings us to the end of Part 3. In Part 4, some local sports news will be included. Welcome to Part 4, and we will begin with the answers to the quiz and Kate.
Question 1. What was the two-word name of Jessica Fletcher's coastal hometown in the mystery series Murder, She Wrote? And the answer was A. Cabot Cove. Question 2. A 2003 novel by Lionel Shivra and 2011 film adaptation are entitled We Need to Talk About. And the answer was C. Kevin. Question 3. Who was Prime Minister from 1945 to 1951? And the answer was A. Clement Attlee. Question 4. In which city is the Bolshoi Ballet based? And the answer was A. Moscow. Question number 5. In which swimming stroke do both arms leave the water at the same time while the legs perform a dolphin kick? And you probably all know this. You may have done this when you were younger. It is A. butterfly. And the last question, number 6. Which 1968 musical film starring Barbara Streisand featured the song Don't Rain on My Parade? And the answer, of course, was C. Funny Girl. I hope you all got 6 out of 6. Well done.
Now for a football article. Queen's Park versus Livingston Challenge Cup final, Sunday, March 30th at 4:10 kick-off. An article's headed Seize the Day, and it's by Paul Thompson. Livingston boss David Martindale has called on his Lions to seize their big moment as they bid for the club's first cup win in a decade on Sunday. The West Lothian outfit head to the Falkirk Stadium to take on championship rivals Queen's Park in the SPFL Trust Trophy final, 10 years on from the last time they claimed silverware in the same competition with a 4-0 win over Alloa. Martindale was on the coaching staff under boss Mark Burchill in 2015 and is determined to add another accolade to his time with the Lions. The 50-year-old knows opportunities like Sunday don't come along too often in a career, and he's called on his players to take their opportunity. He told the Courier, "It's a great opportunity. It's a cup that doesn't involve the Premiership clubs, so go and try and be the best club outside of that. But it only becomes a great day if you manage to win the cup. Getting there, the journey getting there is exciting, it's positive, but you want to end it on a positive note, and the only way to do that is to win the cup. We're really looking forward to it as a group, and these kinds of occasions don't always come around in your career, so you've got to try and make the most of them. I'm not big on individual stuff in football, though it will mean the world to me to win it. I'll be proud and it will be a great achievement, but not for me, for the football club, for the staff and players. I'll be part of that. Do I want to win it for the fans and the players and the staff at the club? I want to win it for them more so than for my own CV, if that makes sense. I just want to go and win the game of football. The fans have been through a lot in the last couple of years. It has been a difficult couple of seasons, so if we can lift a trophy, hopefully it gives the fans a wee bit of icing on the cake for them. The Lions will be backed by a terrific support on Mother's Day with over 3,000 tickets sold for the clash. And Martindale hopes they can put on a display that will have supporters keen to come back for more in the future. He added, I think the fans have been incredible, their numbers have been incredible, and I'm really looking forward to the backing the fans can give the players. They can take their mums to the game as well. Hopefully the club can hold on to a few of these fans because our season ticket numbers aren't great. Everybody kind of knows that, but we're taking a fairly decent crowd, something like 3,500 or 4,000 to Falkirk Stadium. So it would be amazing if the club could go and be successful. Hopefully that has a snowball effect on next season and you can capture some of those fans who are coming along to that game into being season ticket holders. The fans have been brilliant, ticket sales have been great. Hopefully we can go and win the cup for them and hold on to a few of the spectators who are going to that game. Opponents, Queen's Park, go into the game under former Livingston striker Steve McLean, who has been appointed interim boss after Callum Davidson was sacked earlier this month. The Spiders are aiming to win their first trophy in 125 years, and Martindale insists a change in management at Hampden won't alter his plans for the game. Not really, I don't think so. Stephen McLean is still there, and it's a cup final, so form goes out the window, he said. Both teams will be keen to get their hands on silverware. Nothing different to what I expected from Callum, to be fair. They're a good team with good young players, so I expect a tough game of football. But Callum being there, not being there, I don't think it's going to have too much effect on Queen's Park as a whole. I think they'll still be a hungry group of players who are very good on their day, so I don't expect anything different at all from what I would expect going into a league game. Livy will be without Robbie Fraser and Mishak Obukachima for the final, with the duo cup tied, but Martindale has no injury concerns or suspension to contend with. Kick-off on Sunday is 4:10 p.m. and the game is live on BBC Alba. And there's a couple of photos, 5 players, Livy against Queen's earlier this season. There's 4 Livy players and 1 from Queen's Park, and the ball is in the air, so they're all in motion. And the other photo is of Martindale standing next to the trophy on a plinth. It's got ribbons hanging from it saying SPFL Trust Trophy. And he's obviously shouting to his players, his mouth wide open and his hands stretched out.
James is youngest Scots player ever by Paul Thompson. Linlithgow lad James Wilson became Scotland's youngest ever international when he made his debut at Hampden on Sunday. The 18-year-old Hearts midfielder climbed off the bench in the second leg of Scotland's UEFA Nations League playoff tie against Greece, and although the game ended in a 3-0 defeat and 3-1 aggregate loss for the hosts, it will go down as a memorable moment for the former Balerno High School pupil. At 18 years and 17 days old, Wilson's debut saw him overtake John Lambie's record of 18 years and 63 days, which was set way back in February 1887 against Ireland. Wilson has beaten that record by 46 days with his maiden cap. His appearance on the pitch marked an incredible moment as he shared the pitch with Scotland's oldest ever player, Hearts teammate Craig Gordon, aged 42. And Gordon has heaped praise on the youngster, telling Sky Sports, "He doesn't act 18 in the changing room, he's a lot older than that. He's been unbelievable for us. What a great talent, and I'm really looking forward to seeing how the rest of his career goes. and being able to say that I played with him at the start of his career. He really is pretty special, and he's going to go really far if he continues to develop on the path he's on at the moment. Hopefully, we can hold on to him at Hearts for a little bit longer, but he's a fantastic talent, and I'm really looking forward to seeing how he goes.
Rose hit Brock's 6 in Cup. Linlithgow Rose boss Gordon Herd hailed his faultless players after they bounced back from a 2-1 derby defeat in Broxburn Athletic on Saturday by thumping their rivals 6-1 in the East of Scotland qualifying Cup semi-final on Tuesday night. The Gallants were licking their wounds after a weekend loss, but Herd got the reaction he was looking for as they came from a goal down to hit 6 for Broxburn. Errol Douglas gave Brox the lead just after 8 minutes, but Rose replied with goals from Lewis Maguire, Dean Watson, Greg McSkinner, Connor McMullen, Dylan Patterson and Laurie Devine. Herd, whose side play either Berwick or Dunbar in the final, said, "Bar the goal, I thought we were absolutely faultless. There was no passengers and everyone stood up. We had a go at them on Saturday, as they were miles away from the expectation levels that we set, but they were immense. We had a really good season, and it's great to top it off with a final in April." Broxburn coach Steve McLone said, "We started the game okay, and we were well into the game, but it was horrible in the end."
And this is an article from West Lothian Bulletin. Repairing West Lothian's potholes. We appreciate motorists will encounter potholes from time to time, so this update might be helpful. On average, out with the winter months, West Lothian normally receives around 245 pothole repair requests each month. However, cold and wet weather during the winter results in more potholes. The R.A.C says that heavy rain and freezing temperatures is the perfect recipe to help create more potholes. Water enters the small cracks that are on roads, expand when frozen, then thaw. This then causes the road surfaces to crumble. To put this into context, locally, during the winter months, our team can respond to nearly double the amount of pothole repair requests in 1 month alone. This highlights the amount of work the team is getting through, both in terms of checking customer inquiries and repairing pothole defects. The team don't take reports of potholes from Facebook, but our online reporting tool allows you to report potholes within seconds. The online portal has enabled residents to report potholes more quickly and has enabled us to increase the amount of repairs carried out. So thank you for reporting. The team repaired 4,541 pothole defects last year.
Safety net for community centres. And this story is taken from the Bulletin. Community centres across West Lothian will not close with no community left without a centre or facility for local use. The Council's been working with community centre management committees to discuss ways in which the committees can take on ownership and management of centres, but also to ensure the income generated by the centres contributes towards the cost of running the centres and that centres remain on a sound financial footing. Individual management committees currently receive all the income generated via community centres, but the Council pays for all of the running costs for staffing, heating and electricity, maintenance and upkeep of the facilities. This is no longer financially sustainable for the Council. Julie Whitelaw, Head of Housing, Customer and Building Services, said, "From the beginning, the main focus of this work has always been to include the local community in the future running of community centres, and this will continue, no matter what outcome is agreed for each centre. The process of community engagement is ongoing, and a report will be brought back to the Council Executive in June. If all other options fail to identify a sustainable model of community operation of a community centre, Officers will consider any other options or measures which would ensure the continued operation of community centres and ensure that each area has a community centre. Leader of West Lothian Council, Lawrence Fitzpatrick, said communities will continue to have a community centre for local use. It's widely accepted that the status quo cannot remain as it is not sustainable. We must look at how income generated via centres pays towards their running costs. Both management committees and council officers have put in a huge amount of work into this process to date.
This article about digital school awards has also been taken from West Lothian Bulletin. This is an award recognised by Education Scotland, which recognises excellence in the use of digital technology. The application was made by a team of staff led by class teacher Ciara Martin. Miss Martin said, "The assessor was highly impressed with the quality and depth of our evidence, particularly noting the volume and variety of examples we provided. They commended how we have embedded digital technology across the curriculum to support all learners, particularly praising our approach to assist pupils with additional support needs. They highlighted how confidently our children were in being able to articulate their learning during the validation visit, their ability to speak with clarity and pride about their use of digital tools and how these enhanced their learning experience was particularly praised. The assessor spoke highly of the use of public voice groups and was particularly impressed with the children's ability to highlight, plan and evaluate the impact of the change they inspired. Following this success, we will now become a mentor school supporting others in achieving journey towards achieving the Digital Schools Award." And the actual picture shows 7 pupils from Croftmallis School holding the Certificate of Award.
This is from the front page of the bulletin. Pupil power. Literacy and numeracy levels highest on record. West Lothian is one of the top performing councils. The number of West Lothian pupils achieving the expected levels in both literacy and numeracy are the highest on record. Recently released nationals show that the hard-working primary pupils across West Lothian performed above the national average in every one of the 15 Curriculum for Excellence measures. The percentage of P1, P4 and P7 pupils in West Lothian combined who were achieving the expected levels in literacy and numeracy were both more than 5 percentage points above the national average at 79.6% and 85% respectively. Progress has been made to narrow the attainment gaps in West Lothian compared to last year, with primary pupils from the areas of highest deprivation achieving above the national average in both literacy and numeracy. The percentage of West Lothian pupils from these areas achieved the expected level in literacy and numeracy were 73.1% and 77.4% respectively, both significantly higher than the national averages of 64.4% and 71.9%. Executive Councillor for Education Andrew Maguire said, "I'm delighted that West Lothian has been rated as one of top performing local authorities in Scotland for primary attainment once again. Huge thanks to everyone involved in supporting our fantastic pupils to make this happen, our dedicated teachers, early learning practitioner, support staff and other council staff who support schools, parent carers and the wider school communities." And there's a lovely photo of a class with the teachers, and they're all cheering and smiling.
The next article is taken from the community magazine Connect. Bathgate Concert Orchestra. West Lothian has more than its fair share of musical talent across all genres, and one talented group of musicians can be found on a Friday night enjoying rehearsals with the Bathgate Concert Orchestra, the BCO. The orchestra is a happy mix of amateur and professional musicians. With a long history dating from 1952, it has encompassed many players, conductors, presidents and committees, and been well served by them all. The BCO's current conductor is the highly talented musician Stephen Meikle. Stephen became musical director in January 2023 and, along with Aileen Loden, the first violin and leader, brings a new dynamic to this very special orchestra. There are several concerts throughout the year at venues across West Lothian, including Bathgate, Livingston, Linlithgow, Fauldhouse and Winchborough. Entry is by donation. As one orchestra member says, we're definitely worth the ticket price. Entry's by donation because we want to encourage everyone to come and enjoy our music, no barriers at all. Fox's Burtons, who sponsor BCO events in kind, are pleased to help keep community activity alive, as once lost, it's very difficult to restart.
And that brings us to the end of our news broadcast for this week. But please remember that the recording of the AGM comes next. When you have finished listening, please put your memory stick back into the blue wallet, change the address label, and remember to post it in a postbox and not at the post office. All that remains is to send you our very best wishes for the coming weeks, and until next time, take care. So it's cheerio from Team 4.